Yo, stop burping so much on air. Damn it. This is not a beer podcast.
We're on air?
Yeah, man. I already hit record. We're back. CrackBacks. It's Super Bowl is over. We were back here last week. I was wrong. Who else was wrong? Was I the only one who was wrong? Was I the only one that picked Kansas City?
Sage was right.
I said Chiefs.
The prophet was back. Sage was right, but it's your boy Big Pedro again. CrackBacks are back. He's up on top of me, down below. Romo Lover 9, Sage, and the Digital Wookie is here as well. Thoughts on the Super Bowl? Did it suck? Was it entertaining? Did the weekend, was he terrible? What was up?
I thought it was refreshing just to kind of go back to reality, because you guys have heard me say this. You know, the media just kind of gave the Chiefs the next 5 Super Bowls like it's not the NFL and there's not a whole ton of variables. You know, yeah, they have a lot of injuries, but that's part of, you don't predict someone to win the next 5 Super Bowls because that happens in the NFL.
They'll be back next year, by the way. Let's just put that out there first.
Yeah, they'll be good, for sure.
Also, Superman played. If you go back and look at the replays, Mahomes balled. Guys just dropped passes.
He was fucking running for his life, throwing BBs, and it was hitting people right in the chest.
Dudes are dropping passes.
Hit the one dude right in the face.
Yeah, that one where he was like sideways and still threw it perfectly.
Right through the guy's hands, hit him right in the face.
I know I'm going to come off like, you know, grumpy old man here and maybe sports fan elitist, but I'm so sick of this Tom Brady bullshit. And especially like in the MMA world, they use a term called casuals. So people that really don't know that much about MMA, maybe they watch one fight, they watch like Conor McGregor, and then they jump into message boards or on Instagram, start talking all this shit, but they don't know shit. That's what happens with football when Tom Brady wins. I had a very good friend of mine, a girl who hit me up during the game, was like, "Oh, who are you rooting for?" I was Chiefs, you know, because I like Andy Reid. And she goes, "Oh, sorry. I just think it's amazing what Tom Brady is doing." I immediately wanted to be like, name me 3 people that Tom Brady's ever played with.
Well, that's the whole issue that I had. That's Miami fans.
You don't know shit about Tom Brady. You don't know
that's
shit
Miami
about
fans.
The Patriots. You don't know shit about anything. You just hear ESPN and ABC and all these other channels and everything. Oh, Tom Brady. That's why I couldn't watch anything leading up to the Super Bowl. Didn't watch anything for the first couple of days before the Super Bowl, and haven't watched anything since.
Did you watch today? He was hammered trying to get off of a boat today.
That's
the only thing I liked. I'll give him props.
Super Bowl.
They definitely partied.
He was absolutely blasted. And if I don't know if you saw, I had to go back and look again. Somebody said it on Twitter. Blaine Gabbert was dressed like a security guard and was like helping him around all day. It was Blaine Gabbert earned his Super Bowl ring by not letting Tom Brady drown today.
Good for him. Mm-hmm. At least he knows his place.
The game was entertaining for the most part because Mahomes was running for his life and making plays that dudes weren't making on the other side. I mean, the Leonard Fournette hasn't run that hard since he was at LSU. And I understand you're in Jacksonville. What are you going to run that hard for? Your body's going to hurt for 3 wins a season. You get to the Super Bowl, you run as hard as you possibly can. He really should have been the MVP over Brady, but you knew there was no way in hell they were going to give it to anybody other than Tom Brady. But 7 Super Bowls. That's
if anybody won the game, though, it's the Bucs defense.
He's the GOAT. Argument over.
Yeah, and it's really more, you know, his best strength is. Is he the best guy we've ever seen on the field? No.
He's the most accomplished.
But it's because he's the kind of personality, he has the kind of leadership that the second he steps in the room, everyone's level of play goes up. But it's tenfold of what Peyton did, because Peyton did it. It took him 2 years to win. He did it immediately with no offseason.
And Peyton Manning was not Peyton Manning in Denver. Von Miller won the Broncos.
But he was still Peyton Manning the year before when they lost.
The one year in Denver,
he threw 50 touchdowns.
But the year they won the Super Bowl, he was a shell of himself. He had no arm left whatsoever anymore. That defense won them that. Tom Brady was a big reason of why they won that Super Bowl. They're much bigger than Manning was for the Broncos Super Bowl.
The one thing I'll give Brady is like he's the best I've ever seen in the clutch. Like when it really counts, which is obviously the Super Bowl, you know, under 2 minutes when they're down or they need a first down, they need an 8-minute drive to shut the clock down. He's clutch. He always makes plays in those situations. He's the best I've ever seen doing that. But honestly, like all this bullshit about like, the 7 Super Bowls and he's the most accomplished. I mean, they were cheating the whole time in New England. How many times did they get caught cheating? And then on top of that, for all the times they got caught, how many times did they cheat that they didn't get caught?
Everybody's cheating.
So all that shit, no. All the other teams aren't cheating like that.
Everybody, the Saints cheated. I mean, everybody. Atlanta
Apparently
cheated.
not good enough.
Atlanta was piping in music into the stadium. Everybody does stupid shit.
Atlanta definitely didn't cheat good enough.
At the end of the day, the dude still has 7 Super Bowl rings. He won Super Bowl in his 20s. He won multiple Super Bowls in his 30s. 5 of them. He's won multiple. Yeah, listen, man, I wish my fucking teams would cheat better. Listen, New York Knicks, James Dolan, cheat. Free damn envelope. Put some helium in a ping pong ball so we get the first pick. Cheat. Dude, I'm languishing over here. I'm a Knicks fan and a Falcons fan. Cheat. Give me a fucking ring. I don't give a damn. I can give 2 shits. Deflate the balls for Matt Ryan. I don't care. Give me a damn ring.
And he also did go about 10 years without winning a Super Bowl, too. So it wasn't like he was going all the time. I think in that 10-year span, he only went twice to the Super Bowl, which only is obviously a lot.
Yeah, seriously, you just said that someone only went to the Super Bowl or only won it twice in a 10-year span. Seriously? You're a Jet fan. There are people that are 50 years old that have never seen the Jets, or at least they can't remember the Jets winning anything.
And another positive is that I hate the Patriots, but I've always liked Tom Brady, and I don't have to hide it anymore because he's not on the Patriots, and my fellow Jets fans don't get mad at me. But I've always respected his mindset. I know he's on the Patriots, but my favorite quote from him, they asked him, "Hey Tom, what's your favorite ring?" He says, "My next one." Like that's a winning mentality. I just can't hate on it.
He's won everywhere he's gone now, the 2 places. And he's won without Belichick. So Belichick has to win without him.
Honestly, this is his most impressive accomplishment because he's done it with a whole entire sling of dudes that he never played with before, except for Gronkowski. But, whole new team, new coaches, new players, new place. And they weren't really a favorite. They were coming in as kind of like a wild card. And like you said, even though it was bullshit, there was no fans. They went on the road the whole time.
And it's
still different. You still got to travel. It's still different.
He brought those dudes in, too. He brought in AB. He brought in Gronk. He brought in Fournette wanted to play with him. I mean,
yeah.
That shit is just crazy to me. Like, he's also like a GM. It's kind of like the LeBron factor right there. Everybody wants to play with this guy because he wins.
He's the best. He's football. He's football LeBron. Now we can make Enrique start hating him.
Hey, this actually leads to a pretty interesting question I have for you guys. I know there was a lot of talk about it earlier in the media. Is this run by Tom Brady the most impressive run to the championship you've ever seen from a quarterback?
It's in
not to me.
His 3 games on the road and then the Super Bowl at home. Is that what you're
about this run? Yeah. It's not my number one, but
actually, he was on the other side of what would probably be the most improbable run. I mean, the Giants were a 6 seed, won on the road 3 times with fans in the stadium.
Yes,
and
exactly.
and then beat the undefeated. David Tyree had to squeeze the ball to his helmet, but beat the undefeated Randy Moss led, Tom Brady led Patriots. That's 50 times more difficult than what they did this year with nobody in the stands. Yeah, you're on the road, but we talked about it, 4 months ago, that part of the reason being on the road is hard. The crowd's loud and you can't audible. It's fucking quiet in there. So you walk up to the line, look around. Tom Brady can freaking switch to whatever he wants. That Eli Manning run with, David Tyree. Who else was on that team that was in it? Was it Brandon Jacobs was the second best player on that team?
It was the defense. It was Strahan, Kiwanuka, JPP.
Tuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think the second run, the 2011 run, to me is more impressive because the first game was against a much better Falcons team than they played in the 49ers in the 07 run. And they had to go to a freezing Lambeau Field to play MVP 15-1 Green Bay to beat them, to then actually beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, where it wasn't just the defense. I think, in my opinion, that was the most clutch throw I've ever seen in my life to Mario Manningham. I haven't seen anything close to that ever. It was incredible.
That was the second Super Bowl, though.
That's
Joel's talking about the first one.
Yeah, I know.
No,
he said the second one. What I'm saying is that the first one is no one was even sniffing the Patriots that year. They were blowing people out of the water like nothing.
Mhm.
There was a game in Miami that I don't even think Tom Brady looked. He stepped back, he took a 4-step drop and flung it in the general direction of Moss and looked away, and it was a 40-yard touchdown. They were blowing everybody out that year. So I'm saying that one, and the
Mercury
only
Morris
time,
got high that night.
that's the that's the one time that I rooted for Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I wanted him to go undefeated to shut up Mercury Morris and every other freaking Dolphin fan so that they wouldn't be the only. And on top of that, they only played a 14-game season when the Dolphins won it.
Yeah.
Could talk shit that the Patriots did it in 16 games and in the Twitter era and all that kind of bullshit there. The only time I ever rooted for Tom Brady, and he let me down. Well, David Tyree squeezing the ball to his helmet let me fucking down. But that's the most improbable run either. That team was 9-7. That Giants team.
What about Broadway Joe?
Well, that grainy ass footage.
In like 1969.
Tell us about it, Sage.
or like Creepy Joe. Dude still hitting on chicks.
Yeah, he's the original. He's the original Creepy Joe.
He still got that chinchilla on.
That was the best meme I ever actually made. I had a picture of Joe Namath on the phone in the Super Bowl against the Colts, and he's like looking at the sideline, and I put at the bottom, "Wait, we're not going to win for another 50 years? Be right back. Got to win this title."
We're on how many years now? Is it 52 years that we're going on now?
50-something years.
It's
53 years.
69, I think. Yeah, so
it was before the merger, so that's why I don't even really count it as a.
You better count it. You ain't getting another one.
The Jets Super Bowl?
The Jets was the Super Bowl.
That
they did, but it was before the. Yeah, the merger was the.
It was the third one though. It was but they were still playing the AFL, NFL. It was that's a true Super Bowl. It's not an NFL. Not an NFL title.
It's not like the Browns ones, like the ones the Browns got in the 50s.
Exactly. It's not.
Yeah.
Those are considered NFL championships.
Exactly. It's not Chuck Bednarik.
When the Jets won it, it was actually called the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
True. Super Bowl.
It was very new. The Super Bowl was a very new idea.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 or 3.
It was 3.
It was 3.
How are you a Jets fan? You don't know this.
Because I mean, that was in the past.
He doesn't really believe that they ever won. That's why.
Yeah.
Right, so if you plucked somebody that had never had any history of football before, right, and they saw the Jets for the last 20 years, they'd be like, they won a championship back in '69, right? They'd be like, fuck no, they didn't win the championship. So I understand, dude. You're in denial. You don't believe that they won.
And that wouldn't make me any difference from Dolphins fans just talking about '72 like it was yesterday when none of them were ever born. So,
it's like the Chronicles of Narnia. It's out there somewhere.
It's a myth. It may have happened. It may not have happened. But I'll tell you one thing that did happen this week. We may see another quarterback on the move here. Not the one that gets us thinking that I'm going to bring up first here, but it's the one out west in Seattle. He wants out of Seattle. Saying he's getting hit too much.
Fill me in on this story because I didn't even hear any of this.
He hasn't gone to to anything. He just let it through his agent. I
thought he was in the Dan Patrick show. He said the same thing, though.
Yeah, all right. So he did reiterate it today. Okay, so it's been out for a couple of days now through his agent that he wanted out of Seattle.
What an idiot! Seriously?
That it depends on where he goes. It may not necessarily be an idiot. I mean, he's got a Super Bowl ring already. You can chase whatever you want now. So he's the third most hit quarterback over the last 5 years. Cam Newton was number 1. Matt Ryan.
That's because he runs. It's because he runs around on every other play. I mean, that's not Seattle.
Most of his fault.
Some of the time that he's got to run, but he's also got to run because that offensive line is not good either. But here's the thing: he's been in the league 9 years. He's been to a couple Super Bowls. He's won a ring. Fuck it, he's earned the right. Hey, if I want out of Seattle, send me somewhere else. The only thing is, where are they going to send
then he's an idiot for wanting out because number one, living up there is phenomenal. And number 2, the fans love that team. They love him up there. And to be honest, that team does whatever he wants. Like he wouldn't have to beg for a trade. All he has to do is tell him, trade somebody else, get me some O-line help.
No, I understand. I feel you on the fans loving out there. He's a multi-millionaire. No matter where you live, it's amazing. But I understand
that area
what you're
of the country is incredible.
As far as the fan. Yeah, I mean, it rains every day though. Maybe he's sick of the rain. 9 years of gloom every day. Maybe he wants to get out. But he
um,
also has a wife that's from where's Sierra from? From Georgia.
Yeah, she's from
That
Atlanta.
has a lot to do with it as well. She might be in his ear. Yeah, I want to get
Oh,
back.
that's
closer
what
to
this
home.
is about. This is a
But,
Falcons.
But on Dan Patrick,
Falcons.
Very, very, very quick. A moment of Olympic level pettiness here, since we did bring up the Falcons and Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is Future's baby's future stepdaddy, Future's son's stepdaddy.
I love this story.
And when the Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks were playing in the playoffs in 2016-17 season, they were stretching the Seattle out, going through pregame, going through the run through and everything. And they had a full Future playlist ready for Russell Wilson. Every fucking song the Atlanta Falcons DJ played while they were stretching and working out in the beginning were all Future. Something very similar to what happened to Sage when the Beatles first came over here and he was out stretching in Ebbets Field, and they just kept playing the Beatles the whole time when they knew that he was a Stones guy. I didn't say it. People disrespecting. Go ahead, Enrique. I'm listening to you, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, so the quote he actually said when he was on Dan Patrick's show wasn't that he wanted to get traded. He actually said that he was disappointed with his protection. So he essentially, on a podcast, basically threw his O-line under the bus. Right. And to me, that's not a sign of a good leader. Yeah, could the offensive line play better? But if you're going to publicly call out a group, you better be perfect. And he's not perfect. And I even I dug a little deep into the
Especially
stats.
the guys protecting him. Not a good idea.
Exactly.
Enrique's going to the charts. I think he's got a chart.
The guys protecting him. The guys protecting him gave him on average 2.9 seconds to throw the ball, which was fourth best in the NFL. And when PFF they rate the sacks in terms of if one's your fault or if it was actually because of pressure. Say it was within under 2.5 seconds if you were running around. So he was charged with 14 sacks that were considered his fault, which was the second most in the NFL. So don't do that.
Yeah, you notice how Mahomes didn't throw his offensive line under the bus in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I heard that too. But at least that wasn't his real offensive line. This guy was throwing his.
It really wasn't. I mean, Mike Remmers was playing left tackle.
Yeah.
Mike Remmers was the guy. Was the reason that Von Miller has a Super Bowl MVP. He couldn't block him at all that game. Yeah, no, I agree with you. You're right. The quarterback's supposed to be the leader of the team. You shouldn't be throwing people under the bus. There's probably better ways to do this, but he is a 30-year-old, north of 30 quarterback. Body starts to hurt a little bit. They haven't won in a couple of years. I can understand why he's a little, disgruntled.
I'm going to go on record right now. No way in hell they trade him.
No, they don't.
No way.
Uh-uh.
I mean,
Pete Carroll will walk him in and be like, yo, listen, we'll do whatever you want. We'll get the O-line fixed, whatever. Yeah, but you're not going anywhere.
Who do you want out of here? Who do you want in here? And I will, just to circle back to something that Get said a little bit earlier, how much the fans love the Seahawks and absolutely love him. That is, you wouldn't want to stay in one uniform your whole career if you've had the kind of career that Russell Wilson's had in Seattle. Because you go right into their ring of honor. Your money's not good at any steakhouse in downtown Seattle.
Yeah, man.
You can't buy a beer anywhere. So that
and they do that shit where you like ring the bell or raise the flag before the game. Like he would come back and do that like once a year once he retires.
But let's not forget that Kobe Bryant did this too. Kobe in a parking lot, being filmed on ESPN, said he wanted to be traded out of the Lakers, off of the Lakers. Man, then they brought in Pau Gasol for him. So this is just a cry for help. They'll bring somebody in for him, help that offensive line a little bit. They already gave him receivers. His receivers have nothing wrong with DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett could be a couple inches taller and a couple pounds heavier, but other than that, he's absolutely sick. To go back to, since we're on the subject of quarterbacks, draft is coming up, and for a long time, there were 3 quarterbacks going in the top 4 on every mock draft. There's 4 now. So the last one that I looked at this morning, of course, who's going first. Trevor Lawrence is going there. They have, and I really hope this is correct, Zach Wilson going to the Jets.
I heard that.
Then a bunch of mocks have Miami moving out of number 3 and either Carolina or, damn it, I lost the other one. Carolina was one that was moving up to 3 to take Lance, the kid out of the Bison,
North Dakota State,
out of North Dakota State, and then Fields drops to 4 to my beloved Falcons. I've never seen this Trey Lance kid play. I watched 5 minutes of highlights on him. Have any of you seen him play?
Yo,
Like, what
man.
last year?
I
did.
haven't seen the games live, but I've watched some of the film, and I got to be honest, man. He looks like McNeasy. He looks like McNabb. I don't know if it's the number 5 or maybe it's because he's black a little bit. He's not all the way black, but he can run, man. He can
He's not
run.
regular
He's a
black.
good athlete, bro. He can roll. He can run when he has to like tuck it and go, and he's got a cannon.
How do you end up at North Dakota State with all of
Bro,
what was late
Some guys
bloomer?
are late bloomers. Some guys are
Carson
just
Wentz
late
went to
bloomers.
North Dakota State.
But he's from
And
that
the
area,
thing
right?
is-
Is this Lance kid from
And the thing is-
Montana, North Dakota, that area?
I don't know where Lance is from. I know Wentz was from up there somewhere. But the thing is, when you're up there, like we've always lived in like, cities and really populated areas. So we have no concept of what it's like out there. Bro, when I flew back from Seattle, there's nothing. Like you'll go an hour in a plane where you don't see anything. You're going 500-600 miles an hour, however fast you're going, and you don't see anything for hours. So these dudes that live up there and, Boise State, North Dakota State are like the only programs within a 3-4 hour trip. And, they want their high school sweetheart or their parents to come see them at a game. That might be the only place they can go. And Boise State was winning every single year. This North Dakota State, man, there was one point they won like 5 national championships in a row. So if he lives anywhere up there in that part of the country.
He's in Minnesota. He went to high
Why
school
not?
in Minnesota.
Yeah, why not?
All right. So he is a middle of nowhere kid. That's like Croy Bierman. You ever
He's from Marshall,
defensive
Minnesota.
end on Atlanta? Croy Bierman's high school was so small, like the area that they played 7-on-7. And they played both ways. So
that's different. That's the 8-man football.
he played guard and he played defensive end. It never came off the field. Literally, like if you had a turnover on downs, you just stood up and turned around. And he didn't do anything else. It's crazy.
Yeah. So the first game I watched from him was his last game last year, because going into that game, he had like 25 touchdowns, 0 picks, and like another 1,000 yards rushing to go with like 3,000 passing. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely raw, but he shows it just really with most guys, he's got to go to the right staff to really get the most out of him. But he can be pretty
Arthur
good.
Smith, homie.
But he's got the tools, man.
Yeah, and you can't teach 6'4", 226. He definitely runs sub 4.5. He definitely runs sub 4.5.
Are you off the Mac Jones? Are we done with that?
No, well, here's the in a perfect world. In a perfect world, we would move back from 4, pick up another first or second rounder, and then take Mac Jones in the teens. That's nice. Perfect world. But that's not going to happen. So we're going to stay at 4.
You haven't gone Pac-12.
We're going to stay at 4, and we're going to end up with Fields or the.
So
Lance
would you rather have Fields or Lance?
See, speaking on behalf of other Falcons fans, I can tell you right now that if I want to have a less aggravating read through any Falcons group, it would be Fields, because the Georgia kid, they don't blame him for leaving. Who was the coach that he left Georgia? That wasn't Kirby Smart, right? That's
Kirby. It's Kirby Smart.
It was Kirby Smart. Okay.
Yeah.
They blame Kirby Smart for Fields leaving, not Fields, turning his back on Georgia or anything like that. So it would be Fields. It's easier marketing. Like you said in another show, I can finally get that Falcons number 4, because the Favre just didn't feel right. But I wouldn't, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad with either one of them. The kid that I don't want is the BYU one, because I just don't really know anything about him. And although they list him, I've looked it up, they list him at 6'3", he looks tiny.
No way. There's no way.
So that's the 4. That's the one I wouldn't want.
He's like Breeze size at best. He's like maybe 6 foot, like probably 160, 170 pounds. He's got a gun, man. He's got a whip, and he's accurate.
What's the
but
difference?
He's just too small.
If he's the same size as Breeze is a Hall of Fame.
But Breeze landed in the perfect situation with the Saints. He played in a dome. He has to stand on his tippy toes and look out the top of his mask.
He was good in San Diego.
That's an anomaly. That's an anomaly.
But Breeze was so good in San Diego that he was 8-8 the year that they drafted Phillip Rivers.
They drafted Phillip Rivers and traded him with a heartbeat.
So you're telling me Drew Brees is the quarterback? That's what you're saying.
No, Drew Brees.
I'm telling you, this kid is not Drew Brees.
Well, here's the thing. Drew Brees was an average quarterback that became a great quarterback with Sean Payton. That's what Drew Brees is. Sean Payton is the mastermind behind that. And Sean Payton is really who the Cowboys should have held on to and had as their coach for the last 10, 15 years, however fucking long that he's been in New Orleans. Sean Payton's a top 5 offensive mind ever.
So the only
And
reason why Drew
his-
Brees is good is because of Sean Payton.
the reason that he got to where he was, without Sean Payton, Drew Brees is a middle of the road, regular kind of 9-7, 8-8 quarterback. Actually, I'll give it to you right here. Without Sean Payton, Drew Brees is
without
Matt
Belichick,
Stafford.
Tom Brady's nothing.
I'm not denigrating Drew Brees. That's the argument that
That's
you're
exactly
trying
what
to
you
make.
guys are all doing.
No. That's the argument
No.
you're trying to make. What I said is this kid is not Drew Brees.
And I'm telling you, Drew Brees was just okay in San Diego, and Sean Payton made him great. I'm saying that straight up. He was okay at Purdue. He was okay in San Diego.
He was great at
great
Purdue.
in New Orleans.
He was great at Purdue.
He
used to beat Michigan and Notre Dame when they were top 5 in the country.
So you're saying he dropped the second round because he's short?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's small as fuck.
Size
Fair
meant
enough.
everything back then.
Yeah. But
Fair
the
enough.
more important part is that's an outlier. Just because Drew Brees is short and get it done doesn't mean every short quarterback can get
Because
it done.
Doug Flutie didn't get it
Even if
done.
every 6'4"
Kyler Murray
quarterback-
only got done for 1 year so far. The short quarterbacks, Jeff Hogaboom, I'm not even sure if he's tall or not. I just wanted to say Hogaboom. The short quarterbacks have had difficult times.
Listen,
You gotta be
I
Kyler Murray. You gotta be
worth 6'4", 225 quarterbacks drafted that have been busts than 6-foot quarterbacks.
Yeah, because 6-foot quarterbacks just don't get drafted, period. That's why.
Yeah, because
So
6
there's
foot
a-
get drafted all the time, and they're always busts.
Well,
Oh,
Tua's
yeah,
like
be-
6 foot. He's struggling.
Yeah.
Nope.
You got to be like Kyler Murray to be that short, man. You got to be elusive.
And even him, Kyler Murray was great for the first 5-6 games of the season and was not great after that. He had the Hail Murray against
He had
who was that?
he had a shoulder, though. I think his shoulder got hurt. It was a Seattle game because he was balling in the first half of the Seattle game. Second half, he looked completely different after he got hurt.
That's because
Anyway, new breaking news: Sixers trade rumors. Supposedly they're going after Kemba Walker.
For what though? Who are you gonna get?
I don't know how much that's going to do for us.
Yeah.
No. Well,
He's
it gives you
struggling
it gives
in
you a
Boston right
ball handler that can score. So it's not a bad move for the Sixers.
And why would Boston give him up, though?
That's the thing. Why would Boston give him up? But he's not fully healthy. That is one. But if he is healthy, that's a good move for the Sixers because that's somebody you can give the ball, clear out a side, and he can get his own bucket, or he'll get Embiid a wide open jump shot.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody that can do that right now because Simmons can get other people's shots. Simmons is not creating his own shot because he doesn't shoot. So if you have Kemba Walker, 30 seconds left to go, Sixers down 1 or up 2, trying to ice it. Walker's another one with the ice water in the veins that you were talking about before with the clutch gene, all the way back to UConn. He took him 5 games in a row in the Big East tournament just to get him into the NCAA tournament, and then won it on a team that
won the tournament.
Yeah. So no, Kemba Walker and another fellow New Yorker. So Kemba Walker's a good player, man. I'd always like him on my team. Apparently, we didn't even try to go after him either. I'm happy that the Knicks finally have a semi-decent front office. We laughed a little bit, at least I did, under my breath, that we traded for Derrick Rose. He looked fantastic yesterday. So who knows? But Kemba Walker's going to the Sixers.
Didn't you guys have Derrick Rose before?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Phil's last year there, he signed Rose, Noah, and Taj Gibson, bringing all the Bulls to the Knicks. And that year was hard for Rose. His daughter was sick. He had some other family issues, and he went AWOL from the Knicks, and they ended up cutting him. But he's back with Thibodeau now, so he'll be on his best behavior. He doesn't fuck around when Tibbs is there. I'd have left the Knicks too, man. When he was there, fucking Derek Fisher was the coach.
Yeah.
I'd have left.
Yeah,
Hey, but guess I got a better trade partner for you, one that makes more sense. And as much as I actually hated a guy's game before, I think for the Sixers would work.
Michael K.
Kyle Lowry. If you want a guard that can handle and shoot a little bit, that'd actually be available because Toronto's kind of look like they're going to be in the lottery.
I hate Kyle Lowry.
I hate him too, but
he's a Philly kid, though.
In that role, a Philly kid, championship experience. He can.
He's
hit
probably
Billy
he's probably like the only Philly Villanova player that I don't like and never have wanted.
Yeah, because he plays for the Foul, but he's not going to be a number one option.
He'd be good on the Sixers, though.
The reason I say the Kemba Walker thing is because that's actually a real rumor that they're actually trying to make that happen.
Why would Boston get rid of him?
I'm not just tossing players out. I'm saying this is who they want to try and get.
And I know you want Tobias Harris out of there, and that's probably the one that'll have to make because money has to match in the NBA. So Simmons isn't happening, not for Kemba Walker at least. If you didn't,
Hell no.
if you weren't moving Simmons for Harden, you're not moving Simmons for Kemba Walker. But so it would have to probably be Tobias Harris. And honest with you, not a bad move for the Sixers. I'd be on board with that 100%.
Right, but why would the Celtics
anything that
take
gets
on Toby's
Tobias
contract?
Harris out of there?
I know
Why
you
would
hate
the
that guy.
Celtics-
He's a good quality NBA player, man.
He's all right.
He's a solid NBA player. I would give you him for Elfrid Payton right now. No questions asked.
Hell no.
No, but
So
seriously,
it's-
why would they want? Why would Boston want Toby though?
Toby Harris is the only one I've ever like contract hated on. Like, why are they paying him that money? And I always say the same shit to the Eagles fans. Like, what do you care? You're not paying him, but the guy's making a max contract and he's not that good.
No, you can care as a fan in salary cap sports. Like, if you're a Yankees fan, you don't give a fuck what anybody gets paid. It doesn't matter. But if you're overpaying somebody on an NBA team, it's fucking the rest of your roster because you can't pay anybody else. You're speaking. I'm talking about someone who's a fan of a team that paid Jerome James a lot of money, that has paid Luke Longley a lot of money, who's paid an old Steve Francis a lot of money.
The franchise.
Norris. He wasn't a franchise by the time he got to New York. He couldn't even jump anymore. So we paid all those people a lot of money. So you, in a salary cap league, go ahead and hate on a team that overpays for stuff. But the Tobias Harris is a solid player. We were talking about Kemba Walker's clutch days back in college. One of my favorite video games is coming back. NCAA football is coming back, which also means NCAA basketball probably won't be too far behind him. Fuck you, O'Bannon brothers. You're the reason that we lost it to begin with.
I don't think they don't have a contract with the NCAA. I think they're doing individual contracts with the team, like the actual colleges and stuff.
Yeah, it's from what I read today, they would have to work it out with the schools and with the conferences right now because they still have to work around the NCAA not paying any of the players. They also have to figure out if they are going to pay the players and put their names and likenesses in the game, or if they're going to go with it. You know, back in the day where you were playing with Auburn number one, it just didn't say Newton on his back. You know what I mean? That's sort of
it'll be like RB number 5 or something like that.
But they make more than enough money off of those games to kick the players down some money, and I hope that they go the full bore. I like hearing the announcers say the name, of a dude getting the block. I also hope they don't put the damn targeting rule in the game, the dumbest rule. We've talked about that before. Can you imagine you hit somebody with a good hit stick and they throw your freaking strong safety out of the game for targeting? It's fucking ridiculous.
That's when I'll do a Jason Peak and go in and turn down the fouls.
I'm gonna tell him he's got to listen this time just to hear the slander. That was an NBA 2K slander talking about one of our boys, Jason Peak, messing with the sliders in a league we had back in the day. But I always ask strategy. We were talking about this at work earlier.
You got to explain it though. Peak used to change the rules, so we're like, if you breathed on,
you say that. I am not getting stuck in this slander here. This is being recorded. The thoughts expressed by Brian Gesser his own and do not reflect those of Big Pedro or the CrackBacks.
We did a fantasy draft league on 2K, and every time you played Peak's team, the rules, the fouls, I don't even know how to say it.
Well, all the attributes for the game, all the sliders, yeah. So
the intensity of how bad you had to touch them to get a foul would be extremely different than when you played anybody else. But when you played Peak, he had the rules. He would adjust the sliders, and you would barely touch his guy, and he'd be shooting free throws.
Gonna have to give him an opportunity to defend himself on this, but
Or you go down low, try and do a little spin move or something. He'd take the charge. Bullshit. Cheating ass Peak.
If you are not cheating in the NCAA game, which one do you take? Do you take a powerhouse and try to win a national championship, or do you take a lower rung team and build them up?
There's a proven method of success. You take the lower quality squad that nobody goes to that has cool uniforms, and you go there, you get a couple of recruits, you get your team up a little bit decent, then you land one superstar recruit, and you win the title with that shit team, and then you start getting offers from the bigger teams.
So what squad are you going with when you first buy the game?
Fighting Camels.
Yes.
Campbell's a good move. I'll start with Rutgers. Sometimes I'll start with South Carolina.
Campbell also has great colors.
Good uniforms. Always
solid uniforms. Who you going with, Montalvo? Monmouth?
Does FAU count, or is that still a big school?
No, man. The FAU had big name coaches. You know who's
FAU.
coaching FAU? Tell them who's coaching
Please.
FAU right now. I don't
Is
even
it
know.
still Kiffin?
FIU is getting coached. Who's coaching Taggart? Where's Taggart right now?
Taggart's
Taggart's
at
at
FAU.
FIU.
Taggart's at
FAU.
FIU. I will go
No, FAU. Is Taggart.
FAU.
I think Willie Taggart's at FAU. Yeah.
So fuck FAU.
Was,
We're not playing with them. I'm taking the
Kiffin.
Golden Bears of
Kiffin. I thought they had
FIU
Kiffin.
all the way to the national championship. Oh, we actually got. I like the blue and gold contrast.
I think,
colors over there.
I think Butch Davis is at FIU now.
So they'll be on probation in a couple of years.
They don't get any recruits anyway, so he doesn't have to cheat.
Not yet, but when he starts backing up the Brinks truck, when all of a sudden the
It is Butch
FIU's
Davis,
in
yeah.
the top 5 of recruiting on ESPN, like, yo, when did FIU's program get this good?
Yo,
Butch Davis, they're handing out checks.
speaking of recruiting, Alabama, another number 1 in the national recruiting rankings.
Typical.
The rich get richer.
The rich get richer. He's
The rich get richer.
They need to drop
He's
these
never-
scholarships from these teams.
Is
There's
it-
way
is
too
it-
many scholarships. Alabama could get like the top 5 corners and the top 5 safeties.
they do.
They always do. But if you're a good corner and you're from, Georgia, Tennessee, wherever, wouldn't you want to go play for Saban?
Well, there's a two-parter to that. You do want to play for Saban. You also don't want to get cooked by their wide receivers. So if you never have to cover their wide receivers, if you're a cornerback on there, Surtain never got dusted by who was it? Smith, or what was the other one? Jamar Chase? Is that the other wide receiver?
Waddle. was at
Waddle.
Alabama.
Chase is on LSU, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm not losing my
Exactly.
mind here fully. But that's the other thing, too. If you are a sick cornerback, you're never going to get dusted on national television, because that's the only thing that Alabama's is on national TV. You would go there. That team, was it 6 out of 11 championships? They haven't had, if you stayed to your junior year in the tenure of Nick Saban at Alabama, you've won at least one national championship the entire time he's been there. They haven't gone more than 3 years without winning.
I'll take that. That's a good recruiting tool.
That's a say. All you have to do is, this is Coach Saban. It's done. It's over. The only one that has a chance to out recruit him is at Jackson State. Neon Dion. Go get your experience there with the HBCU. Then come on down to Tallahassee.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that conversation.
I think the only big time recruits that really don't go to Alabama are the ones that just want to start freshman year and can't, because there's a 5-star recruit they got last year that's already on the way. Other than that, I'm pretty sure every 5-star recruit goes there.
Why would Florida State want Dion when they have Mike Norvell?
Well, Dion will be like 8 years from
You
now.
ask
like,
me
once
why
he
I
gets some
mute you,
experience.
and then you say shit like that.
Yeah, Mike Norvell is not going to get it done.
Come on, man. Norvell.
Yeah,
Stud.
I don't know.
How many years before Dion's in Tallahassee? 3?
8 years.
3.
I say 8.
Yeah, it's 3.
I'm gonna
It's
say
not. It's
8
not
because
even.
Florida
Norvell's
State-
not going to be good.
He just
And
made
then Dion
the jump from high school head coach to college head coach. So all he's got to do is a couple years just to learn the ropes, how to run a college program, how to recruit nationally,
Dion
and
is a good
bang,
coach.
Florida
Yeah,
State.
but remember, Florida State's
Dion's
cheap.
not
Not going to
calling
take 2
plays.
coaches.
Dion's
Florida
not
State's
calling
not gonna
plays,
take it.
Sage.
No,
You know what
these
Dion
kids-
is there for? Dion
No.
is there to walk into a
These kids don't even know
18-year-old
who
kid's
Dion
living
is.
room and sit down and put a DVD on or show him on his phone of
They don't
him
even know who
dancing
Dion
around
is,
it.
man.
Must be the money. And then that dude's coming to wherever the hell that Dion's coaching. He's not
You guys
calling
think-
plays.
You guys think that they know who Deion Sanders is?
Did you hurt your back when you just did that?
Absolutely not, man. I felt good. It did crack, though. I ain't gonna lie. It did
You were-
crack.
You were way off key though.
You trying to tell me that are you really trying to ask me if these kids don't know who Deion
Yeah,
Sanders is?
100%.
Are you really asking if Sage is hating?
I really
This is
think
true.
you really think that these kids really know who Deion Sanders is.
Yeah, 'cause
Absolutely,
he's
they
so-
know who
he's so on
Deion
TV.
Sanders is.
They gotta
He's-
Google this dude.
Absolutely not. He's Leon Hardcastle. He ran the 40 at the freaking combine. He's been on the NFL Network for however many years. He's also the greatest cornerback and kick returner to ever play football. Of course, they fucking know who Deion Sanders is.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. They know who he is.
No way. You guys think that they really
That's
they
not-
have to really
he's-
fucking know the history of the NFL.
You don't
Yeah,
need to
guys
know the
that wanna
history of
play
the
in the
NFL
NFL,
to know Deion Sanders. And that's a ridiculous statement.
You don't
No,
think a kid that's wanted to play football his entire life would know like who the best corner ever in the NFL is?
I'm waiting for a Ty Cobb joke.
Yo, it's a,
No, I just
that's
think
the no, but that's the other thing too. You're right, Sage. When you were coming up, right, and you had to go, to the library for the the little microfiche and all that. When you wanted to see your favorite player's stats and all that, you don't have to do that anymore. Kids are walking around. They look on their phone. Deion, I guarantee you, Deion Sanders, any video of you, Deion Sanders on YouTube is going to have millions of hits on it. They all know
you
who
think if
Deion
these
Sanders
17 and 18-year-old kids are walking around Googling who Deion Sanders is? They don't know.
Hell
is. You're
yeah.
a football
If
junkie.
they play football, hell yeah.
they're
You want to
not.
play football? Yes.
No,
Your entire life, you want to be an NFL
You're gonna
player.
tell me that when you were in Little League, you never used to look up Honus Wagner's numbers and dream that you were gonna, you never shoeless Joe Jackson. You didn't sit there staring at your shoeless Joe Jackson poster.
This is a different time. They do not know the history.
Yeah, they have more information now. You only had microfiche in the card catalog.
They
have Google.
A shit.
Yo, first of all, Deion will be sending them YouTube clips of Deion.
So if I'm right now just on YouTube and I just put Deion Sanders highlights, these are all the views: 4.9 million, 2.1 million, 5.8 million, 8.3 million, 1.5 million.
They're all by people our age.
No, you don't think the young kids are the ones actually going on YouTube and doing all that shit? People our age.
Deion Sanders.
This is like too new for us.
Deion Sanders.
You're talking about
look up
Deion
look up
Sanders.
Honus Wagner highlights.
But no one's looking up Rod Woodson highlights. No one's looking up Darryl Green highlights. No one's looking up Harry Carson. But they're definitely looking up Deion Sanders.
Ooh, damn! Why you had to burn Harry Carson like that?
They also did a 30 for 30 on Deion not too long ago. These kids know who Deion Sanders is. And to mention,
prime time.
Not to mention the best quarterback to ever play football.
Bro,
ever.
Enrique's like 12. He knows who Deion is.
Exactly.
Yeah, we should take a poll of these high school kids to see if they know who Deion Sanders is. I guarantee you, most of them probably don't.
Well, I know you like hanging out with the high school girls, so get the poll going.
No, but I don't think what you're accounting is access to technology that young kids have. Like getting on their phones and stuff is second nature. Like they have a lot more access to information than even I do.
Deion Sanders is on the top of their list.
They have all these NFL Network shows like Greatest of All Time and NFL 100. Deion's always on there.
And when Deion was on there,
conversation happens. Deion Sanders reaches out to a kid. Kid goes, "Hey, Dad, who's Deion Sanders?" "Oh, Deion Sanders is the greatest quarterback to ever play." And that's how that conversation starts.
Okay. And then what happens? And then they go to YouTube and watch all Deion Sanders highlights.
And go, wow, like, this guy's the greatest cornerback to ever play.
When you're the greatest at something, you're usually not a good coach.
But he's not
usually
plays,
not all the time though.
The only person to do it was Larry Bird.
He's not calling plays.
He's recruiting 5-star players. That's what I want him to do. He can get another offensive genius to call plays if he has a bunch of 5-star players.
All he has to do is go into whatever, whoever's house that he's going into and be Deion. That's all he has to do. He doesn't have to call any plays on a Saturday or whatever day.
And to be honest, he was a decent, it was high school, but he was a decent high school coach. They won the state championship. I think they were in like Texas or something like that, which is a hard state to win.
He was a leader. He was a leader in the locker room, so he's going to be a leader as a head coach.
Deion's the shit. So there's nothing that Deion Sanders can't do. So that's the.
I agree.
And you should love him. I don't understand. The guy's a cowboy, and you're hating on him.
I'm just saying, you guys are acting like that. These kids know who he is, and just because he's Deion Sanders, he's going to be a good coach. Not necessarily so.
But he's already shown he's doing some things that's showing that he has qualities of a good coach. If he was such a bad coach, I know it's high school, but he wouldn't have been able to get those kids to play hard. Because that's what really coaching is. You got to get people to play hard. He doesn't have to be an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator genius.
And at the college level, it's more about the recruiting.
Yeah,
exactly. And
he recruits and motivates guys. That's all you need.
And the thing about Deion recruiting is there's no way, there's absolutely no way that Deion Sanders isn't charming whoever he gets into the room with, mom, dad, uncle, caregiver, whoever the hell it is, they're going to absolutely
Coach Prime.
love playing for Coach Prime.
Prime
Exactly.
time. Yeah, he'll go in there and start talking to the kid's mom, and it'll be over. The lady will be like, "You're going with him."
Yeah.
All right, so we're coming up on an hour here. You said, Enrique, you said he had a crackback this week?
Well,
Or are you chickening out from it?
Yeah, I'm checking out from it. I found out some more information.
Oh,
Made me rethink because it wasn't exactly what I thought it was.
Well, go ahead and bring it
Looking at
up.
black and white.
We got a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and chat about it.
we can toss it around.
Yeah, because so it was really funny because they the ESPN's Instagram account had posted that Mark Cuban's no longer playing the national anthem in basketball games, and then an hour later the NBA posted out a statement that everyone plays the national anthem before basketball games. But he actually was on I forgot whose radio show, and he said that that's not something he ever did. It was like it wasn't him. He never once said, "Oh, we're no longer playing." Like we're no longer not playing the national anthem. That's not something he ever did. He clarified that in his interview. So
Who did?
he was saying something about like a collection of some of the players and some other. I mean, he was deflecting, but he said that it really wasn't him who made that final decision. And once it was consulted with the NBA, he was told to put it back on.
It's going to be a bigger point of contention coming up. They didn't always play the national anthem before games. It's been a little bit of propaganda for the Army, things of that sort.
For the NBA?
For all of them. It started in the
NFL. They always did.
Nope. Early 80s. We were too small. We didn't remember. They started in the early 80s, and it was because recruiting was down for the Army. So they started to have more of the be all that you can be, all those commercials that come on, and they would do the national anthem before. Yeah, no, granted. But what I'm saying, it wasn't like a long-standing tradition. When states started playing sports, we didn't even have a national anthem yet.
Recruit for the Army.
Yeah, it was only a long-standing tradition in baseball because it was actually done in baseball to recruit for World War I. Yes. Like going way back, like baseball.
It's propaganda. Started, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Some people love it, some people hate it.
Well, even I remember like basketball. You remember what was the dude's name? Sharif Abdul Rahim.
Yeah.
He like refused to stand for the anthem back in the day. It was like a huge deal.
Destroyed his career. He never got re-signed, although he was good enough to play. And he turned around when they were playing. His first name is Chris Jackson.
Chris Jackson.
Correct. And one of the best shooters to ever play in the NBA. And he is a part-time shooting coach of Emmanuel Quickly. So that is
like epilepsy, right?
He was a New York Park legend.
Tourette's, that's right.
Yeah, Tourette's. He had Tourette's, and he's obsessive compulsive. They were saying that there were times that he would tie his shoelace 30 times, 40 times until he felt right on his foot. But it also, the OCD is what made his release on his jump shot what it was. It was absolutely consistent. He couldn't leave the court. His brain wouldn't let him leave the court until it left his hand feeling right. But you have your own feelings on the national anthem. I mean, I've always put the hand over the heart. It's a hard song to sing because it's really a poem, not an actual song. But do what you want with it, man. That's the beauty of being in America. We have freedom to do what you want.
And to my understanding, specifically in the NFL, it's also about It's really about marketing dollars. All the beer companies want the videos with the planes flying over everybody. That's really what it seems like to me. It's all about money.
Well, I'm going to stand and salute you guys right now. There's been another episode of CrackBacks. We'll see you in another week. Need to get some stuff in between here as well. We've been talking about doing some minis. You two on the bottom here right now. Jersey story. Start talking about it.
I want to see an American flag at the end of this episode. I want to see the American flag waving at the end of this episode.
Have a little flapping through. We're out. Mahalo at you.
For Dion.